Hello. It is Monday, the start of the week, and I have a lot of really exciting things planned for this week. Like I mentioned in my monthly intentions video, I really want to make an effort to be out in nature and to go out as much as possible and to take you along and to film. And I have a really packed schedule this week, and I plan on kind of taking you along, and it'll be really fun. As far as today, it is Monday, and I have a class that I need to go to this morning, but I am planning on going to this coffee shop that I haven't visited before. It's kind of like a coffee shop slash Finnish hot tub and sauna place. So it'll be very interesting. I don't think I've ever been to that sort of coffee shop before, but a friend of mine recommended it to me the other day, and I thought that it would be really fun to take you along. And aside from that, I also really want to visit the bookstore just because I'm kind of like in a bookstore vibe today, and the weather's kind of nice as well. I think it might rain later today, so I gotta take advantage of the sunlight that there is right now. But as far as what I'm looking for at the bookstore, I've been really meaning to look into the New York book review books. I believe they're like mostly translated books. I've been seeing a lot of them on Instagram, and I want to see if I can find any that I think are interesting, and I'll definitely let you know if I do. So it should be really fun to kind of just bring you along and show you around, and yeah, let's go.
Nice matcha.
It's Tuesday night, and I realized I forgot to do a book haul yesterday. So I thought that I would share some of the books that I picked up at the bookstore yesterday and also give a little reading update as to what I've been reading these last few days. Like I mentioned yesterday, I went to the bookstore with the purpose of looking for New York book review books, and I was pleasantly surprised when I found so many of them there. And I ended up like choosing three that I'd never really heard of before. The first one being The Continuous Catherine Mortenho. I believe that's how you pronounce that. I got this because this is set in the future and it has very like sci-fi vibes to it. It's basically about a future where people don't really die of old age, and so it's very rare for people to get sick, and apparently this like main character is starting to get sick, and there's a lot of discussions about like sensory input and the cognitive effects of not dying. And so I thought that was very interesting and definitely sounds like something that I would like to read. And so I thought that I would get it. The next book that I got is Mrs. Palfrey at the Claremont by Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor is one of those authors that I continue to hear being mentioned on like Bookstagram and those kinds of places, but I don't really know anything about what the books are about. And so when I saw this there, I saw that it was on sale and I decided to get it. And from what I was able to gather from the back, is that it follows this woman named Mrs. Palfrey who basically moves into this hotel after her husband passes. And I get the sense that this is very much a character study of this person and her interactions with the other people inside this hotel, and maybe some reflections on her current stage of life. And yeah, I'm super pumped for this one. I think it's going to be really cool to live in this kind of like a mental space for a bit. And I'm excited to see what the hype is about for Elizabeth Taylor. I also really love the cover. So, yeah. And then the last New York book review that I got is a book called The Seven Madmen by Roberto Arlt. I think that's how you say his last name. I do know that this is translated from the Spanish and the author is Argentinian. So that'll be interesting. And this one is kind of interesting in the sense that it is about a cult and it follows a character that is going through very difficult times. Their wife recently left them, they recently lost their job, and they're kind of just walking around the streets of Buenos Aires, Argentina, and kind of just feeling the dread, I guess. And somehow he ends up getting involved in this cult. And that's all I know about it. But yeah, those are the three New York book review books that I was able to find there. And then I ended up getting two more that I thought were interesting. And yeah, so I got The Organs of Sense by Adam Eric Sachs, I think. Uh, I'm going to be totally honest and say that I got this book because of the cover. I don't really know where people stand with this, but I am someone who really enjoys pretty covers, and I think they're the first thing that people see when they look at books, and I think that there's a lot of effort that goes into designing them, and I love appreciating that aspect of books. And so when I saw this, I thought that I would definitely get it. And it's basically about, first of all, it's set in the 1600s and it follows an astronomer that apparently makes a prediction that ends up coming true. And it's kind of difficult for me to gauge what it really is about, but it's really short. And I think I might fit this one in this month. So yeah, I'll definitely have to let you know what I think about this one. The last book that I got is a book that I've been meaning to read for the longest time, but I've been waiting to kind of encounter this specific edition of it. And I was super excited when I saw it at the bookstore yesterday, and I ended up getting it. And it is Go Tell It to the Mountain by James Baldwin. I've been very intentional about putting off reading James Baldwin until I owned a copy of Go Tell It to the Mountain because it is his first novel, I believe. Yes, it's his first novel. And I really wanted to start with his first novel, and I wanted these editions. And so I'm really excited for this one. I think I'm really going to enjoy his writing. I hear really good things about his writing, and I have seen some interviews of James Baldwin, and I think he's a very interesting and articulate person. And I'm excited to see how his personality reflects in his work. So those are the ones that I got at the bookstore yesterday. Also, I ended up going to a plant store at the end of my little day trip because I wanted to look for a plant for my apartment, but I really didn't end up finding anything that I liked there. But it was a really pretty store, and so I decided to include that in my little vlog. But yeah, I'll still have to keep an eye out for a plant that I like, and I need to kind of research more about like what kind of plants are good for indoors. And so I might go back there next week and pick up a plant once I have some more information on that. But yeah, it was a really cool store. I definitely want to go back soon. And now I just wanted to talk about the books that I've been reading recently. One of them I mentioned in my last video of books that I wanted to read this fall. And so I ended up starting it. It's The Man Who Loved Books Too Much by Alison Hoover Bartlett. And I'm going to be honest, I'm really, really having fun with this one. I think it's not at all what I expected. I am really surprised about how the book addresses the physicality of books themselves. And that's something that I've always really liked about books. And I'm so happy that she mentions that in the story. But, anyways, this story is about this person that one day encounters this whole world of book theft, and she kind of immerses herself in the culture of book collectors and antiques and what goes into determining what books are valued higher than others and what can drive people to steal books. And she ends up going to a prison to kind of have an interview with an infamous book thief. And yeah, it's really, really interesting. I think that if you like books about books, and if you like honestly, if you like the kind of crime documentaries on like anything, I think you definitely really enjoy this one. I'm glad that I started reading it, and I'm going to try to finish it this week just because I really want to get back to it. And then the next one that I've been reading, I originally started reading it on my computer using my Libby account, but then I ended up going to the library and I found a physical copy of it, and so I just got it. But it's a book called Sight by Jesse Greengrass. I think I was scrolling through Libby, which I tend to do sometimes when I'm not really doing anything and I don't want to go on social media. So I was just kind of mindlessly scrolling through the Libby app and seeing if there were any like covers that kind of drew my attention. And so I saw this one and I got it and I just started reading it immediately. And I was really surprised about how much I liked it. And so you basically follow this unnamed narrator who is kind of looking back on her relationship with her mother and at the experience of losing her mother during this crucial part in her life where she's deciding whether or not to have children with her husband. And it is very, very introspective and very intimate and articulate, and it feels very melancholic. And I think that's kind of, I don't think I realized that I wanted a book like that until I started to read it. I think there are some beautiful reflections on grief. And there was one paragraph that I kind of took a picture of because it's like, it was just very beautifully written. And it's a reflection on her relationship to literature and books and how it intertwines with her identity and her understanding of herself during these like important times in her life. And so, yeah, I'm super happy with this one. I'm really enjoying it. Kind of want to own it at some point, and it's really short, so I definitely will be finishing it by the end of the week. But yeah, that is what I've been reading. I will keep you updated on anything else that I might pick up this week. But tomorrow is Wednesday, and I'm planning to go to the Sequoia Park after my classes, and so that should be really fun. I'll definitely be taking you along with me and showing you the park itself and the trees, and it'll be really cool. I actually have never been to this park before. I've just heard it like mentioned before, and I always really wanted to go. And so it'll be a first for me too. And yeah, it should be really fun. I will see you tomorrow.
Last name, sir.
A flower. Just a flower.
People? No.